have a quick question. Does anybody know the day they were born? Nobody knows what day they were born.
May 6, 1987.
Day of the week, Dan.
Nope.
Okay. I guess I'll move on to my next question. Does anyone know if I can get a tan from a light like this? Does anybody know what time it is? That's interesting. Has anybody ever heard of Daniel Patrick McCloskey?
No. Yes.
He is the father of the Cyberpunk Apocalypse. This is the Cyberpunk Apocalypse 5th anniversary party. Dan is going to be reading today with his best friend, Tameka Cage Conley. Tameka is a Cave Canem Fellow. Her poetry has been published or is forthcoming in Callaloo, African American Review, Fledgling Rag, and Chapter in Verse. She was nominated for the Pushcart Prize in 2012. Her first play, Testimony, was produced at the August Wilson Center in May 2011. Her and Dan are going to be reading from their forthcoming, fabulous, collaborative poem. Please welcome Dan and Tameka. That's awesome. Now I get to say something else. I have to, is it raining right now? It's not, it's drizzling. Did anybody get caught in the rain? Did you just get caught in the rain? In the drizzle. This is Dan and Tameka.
Late, or dear Tameka, I have been drinking and sweating for a long time. I have worked hard and lived for a bit today. Now here I am at the end again.
Fighting off sleep
As if it were a many-toothed dog, I set the alarm for 6 and 6:06 and 6:10, though I will not have the will to wake.
I hardly ever do.
I hate to wake as much as I hate to sleep.
Nah
Nah said sleep is the cousin of death.
And he was right.
But one cousin is not the other, and it's rude of me to press the point too far.
The way I did last autumn.
When I threw away my bed and fell into a pile of failed life
Every night.
on my floor, or
Or
at a lover's house. Usually at a lover's house,
Even more of a failure.
somehow. I would rather sleep here at the kitchen table, so when they find me in the morning, they might say, he tried,
He did his best.
though they will likely say, he
He
drank too much. They know me better than I do, though all drinking is drinking too much. Proverbs and precede, fear of the death of the ones I love or might have loved.
Let's point out here.
Almost all dogs are many-toothed,
Let's point out.
that it's not that late.
Let's just say.
If I were a dog, my relationship with sleep would be as simple as my relationship with packing peanuts. Once, when I was young, I was playing video games downstairs
With the kids.
while our parents watched the Super Bowl. This boy was on top of me, tickling me like crazy. I was bigger, so I threw him. He landed on his sister and broke her arm. I did not believe it, not until x-rays made it hard to argue. Sometimes you just get mad at how easy it is to break other people's arms.
Shouldn't it be their responsibility to a certain extent?
Couldn't they drink some milk or something?
They are using
Their weakness as a weapon.
R.E. Dear Tameka.
The beginning of this note is that you are brilliant. Raw diamonds. I want to measure that luster next to the ones in the stores, the shine on my finger. I thought
Diamonds look like rocks.
those crystals they were giving away,
I took 4.
they reminded me of you.
All
All sparkle and dirt, you said. The best line.
You write with raw tenderness, a child's broken arm, failed life at a lover's house. Danny.
Whatever you're looking for, you're finding it.
You're not
drowning
drowning
in sleep or lack of it.
Not
drowning
drowning.
in water.
Sometimes I feel I'm staying afloat too.
It's not easy to be vulnerable.
That's why I recoil at that word
Needy.
But Toy helped me realize
If I need, I need.
I choose to need from a few, so thank you for letting me unravel.
T. Dear Danny,
I love the way the sun pours its mouth through our windows.
though I often wish I was waking in another place,
I am guilty of being ungrateful in this townhouse.
We
We
lost
lost
2
2
pregnancies
pregnancies
here.
here. I never converted what was supposed to be my office.
into an office.
Instead,
I write here
at the kitchen table, where my husband and I eat,
and talk
but never make love
like in the movies. My husband knows.
How I'd walk the red carpet
In Hollywood,
Soho.
Pittsburgh's most famous place.
Where is Pittsburgh's most famous place?
I'd walk the red carpet.
In Paris, London, South Africa. I keep a spare in my handbag for me and grandmothers
all over the world.
My life was saved by my grandmother
I should call her every day,
to say thank you.
but I don't.
I want them to play
If I ruled the
world. When I stepped from my limousine
With my grandmother.
and the world's grandmothers parked in limos behind me.
Or
We might share one magic limo that could fit
The
a continent inside. After, I'd kick off my red sole stilettos
and weep over what's next.
and over boredom and how
No fantasy is ever as good as you imagine.
When he was aboard,
Jean-Michel Basquiat announced, Papa, I'm going to be famous.
If I had been alive
When he was, I would have tagged Samo with TLC.
until he called me.
He would have been angry. I destroyed his logo until he saw
I could absorb his needy age.
until he
I
saw
was a little crazy too.
willing to sleep beneath the Brooklyn Bridge with a strange man.
We would have walked the streets, the grunge beneath our shoes, pounding
I love New York.
into parks and
Pavements,
pavements.
scavenging for loose change.
I would have painted the word black
On luxury cars on the Upper East Side using Jean-Michel's white paint.
I would never sleep beneath the bridge.
Not for a man. Pittsburgh would be empty without bridges, and I want to walk all of them.
At once.
I want 1 million sexy legs attached to my waist
to outrun captors, then turn
and pound them with my fists.
poverty, even a slight kind.
Will make you greedy. TTLC.
Dear Tameka,
I nearly died yesterday
To the
to
sounds
sounds
of
of splintering
splintering
wood.
wood.
I thought I would mention it since you asked about my preoccupation with death, my fear. But I'm not scared of dying.
the process, the pain,
I've had my ass kicked.
a broken bone or two.
So if I have to climb onto a rickety platform with 1,000 pounds of cast iron for the love of a friend and belief in her dreams,
I will.
I just don't like the idea of running out of time.
Can I take a break here and ask?
What kind of movies are you watching, Tameka? I've never had sex on a kitchen table either, but don't take that as a failure of romance. The table was meant to hold mashed potatoes, a couple plates. Maybe it's the bump on my head.
Or the 4 identical scrapes on my shoulder.
But fuck on the couch or the floor. Leave your poor kitchen table out of this. Your husband is over 6 foot tall, 3 feet wide, made of muscle.
Love each other.
Your table, your home. Don't tag fancy cars.
when you just want to ride in a different one.
If you destroy just to be romantic,
No
no
wonder
wonder you don't get along with your house. But I'm sorry. I'm preaching. I'm a young man.
Off topic.
Grandmother.
Granddaughters.
An endless limousine that could stretch forever.
The hope, the struggle for a child.
I'm off the topic of death.
I'd
I'd like to tell you that I'm alright. My knee is swollen, my thigh red and raw. 4 hexagonal incisions in my jeans match the incisions in my flesh.
A bump on my head.
Scrapes on my shoulder.
Each cut in my shin pressed out
By the blunt tooth of a gear, the width of my pinky. If the 100-year-old press had shifted differently,
as we fell together,
that is where my bone would have crushed or snapped. If time had not slowed for me to position myself,
perhaps my middle,
or if the world were slightly more kind,
my skull
would have been crushed with the planks and 2x4s. But time was slow, and here I am. I can feel all my toes.
But I don't occupy the same string as you.
I'm not in your beautiful, immortal limousine.
With the carpet that shows where I come from
and where I'm going. My last grandmother is spent, and my children will not find themselves willingly grown from my seed. You,
I think, live in a comet
with a burning nose of birth
and passion,
a tale of parents
and grandparents
that whisper into history. You occupy a space in a hurling ball of blue that I
lap
left.
the solar system forever.
Me, I am not a comet, Tameka. I'm a match. I was struck, and I will burn, and I will go out.
Smoke and bones.
Had I died yesterday, it would have been a beautiful day.
Crushed
By a machine that has pushed words for a century, 1,000 authors with endlessly cycling letters spoken through whirling iron.
to people they have never met.
Hundreds of birth announcements, wedding invitations on
Rings
rings
and
and
rings
rings.
of paper.
I would hope, after they cleaned me from it,
My friend might print a tombstone
with gray ink on black paper to put in a field, here lay Danny Mac, once for a while. Dear Daniel,
I was born 2 months early. My mother was 19 and I was her first child.
Her first daughter.
As I wait for my first child, it's important, I think, to travel back.
to a time
I do not remember of being born,
of almost dying
of being brought back to life
by the hand of God in my grandmother's face.
Life was rough for my mom and dad,
They were penniless and pregnant.
waiting for a life to come, wondering what they might give.
My father was in college at Southern University in Baton Rouge,
Where I got my first teaching job doing grad school.
while my mother was back in Shreveport.
In love with the tall, slim, regally handsome Willie Lawrence Cage after his rough and brutal father. My mother was raised by her grandparents after her mother,
My
who
grandmother,
had 2 names,
Betty Sue and Gloria Jean,
died.
of a brain aneurysm.
She was younger than 40 when she died,
My mother was 16.
and I was born 3 years later.
Lord, my mother was a baby.
And then, even in the wedding picture, wearing a white dress and shy smile, me growing beneath the soft white fabric, my father high
As a tribe of kites, wondering where his life would turn.
He had dropped out of college his junior year.
Returned to barren Shreveport to
To
marry
marry
and
and
wait for me.
A tiny miracle in a land of
Hard knocks and handmade blades.
My mother had been hospitalized. She was bleeding. I think I'm about to have my baby, she said. She was nervous.
They said, her first pregnancy.
She probably needed to pee. I slid out, my mother hovering over the toilet, trying to catch her greatest love with one hand before my soft head burst on the tiled floor. I dangled
She said,
by the umbilical cord. Though I have heard this story so many times, only now my heart breaks from her bravery.
she caught me.
With her trembling hand, the hand I made bloody with new shine,
Let's just say,
I'm grateful to be alive.
let's just say,
When you know your history, you say your prayers.
let's say,
That with all my intellectual knowledge of the world and all I have lost in the way of children, as I continue to hope for children,
despite all the bruises and war,
rapes and famine,
discrimination and strife,
I will always believe in God.
When my mother could not get a ride,
To the hospital, where my heart beat off and on,
off and
a
on,
little clock,
God beckoned my grandmother
to rock me.
It was that day
When I did not hear my mother's voice or sense her word, her hope that though I was born 2 pounds,
8 ounces.
though after a month,
I had lost one of those pounds,
and lay now almost invisible beneath bright light,
looking less human.
more like a life.
It was that day
When she had not come, my heart wanted to give out.
to enter a new life, to say,
Well, Lord,
I tried,
I did my best.
but my grandmother is a warrior.
What is a stoplight when you have a life to snatch from darkness?
What's a doctor's prognosis?
When you are a woman who knows resurrection is another word for love.
When I stopped breathing,
She thumped me on my side. God's got work for you to do. I heard her and climbed back through the tunnel. I could not talk, but I wanted to live. And God, here I am. I'm a sensitive woman, Danny.
And stubborn too.
Few people see my cracks, the chinks of my black woman armor. I do well to hide it.
I'm tall enough.
And confident. I've accepted now that I'm beautiful with gorgeous legs. Last night at the store, that brother could barely focus on putting those oranges in the right place.
Fear he might lose sight of me.
I did not smile.
I did not look his way.
I'm a married woman and must conduct myself accordingly. David told me,
If you could just get over yourself,
you realize just how beautiful you are and be done with it. Lord, to be done with it.
But last night, while gathering garlic for guacamole,
I wanted to look where the nameless man stood.
my smile sang,
Thank you for thinking I'm beautiful. I need it sometimes. I need sometimes. I need my friends to know when
Or if
something might hurt me
offend,
or wound me, it's better to not. After the first miscarriage, my father tried to say,
it was just a fetus.
I wouldn't let him, not the way he wanted, the only way he could make sense of not holding a grandchild. What he did say, after fumbling with
Baby
and
fetus.
was,
I want to say something, but I think it'll make you mad.
I have a way about me. I used to pride myself at using my voice to shut down a man,
To make anyone who crossed me
feel low as an old snake. I said,
With as much respect as I could.
well, if you think it would make me mad, then don't say it.
And my father hushed.
If you knew what you wrote could hurt me, why'd you write it? Did you think we were strong enough? We are.
But that's not a risk I would have taken.
I hold your heart fragile, Danny.
I'm learning you,
Your aliases and personas. I am not confused by you, but fascinated by your arrival. How quickly I came to cherish you. How
If one day you are not here on this earth in my life,
I would feel so lonely, even with my fine-ass husband. Even with my mothers who love me, your being gone would be a truck through my gut.
Don't make me wonder
If having you close is wise.
you don't even know him.
Precaution whispers.
You don't know who he is.
But I know enough.
You would never let anyone disrespect me.
You put your heart on the line and your body the way you did yesterday when you moved Arnusa's press. Its weight as heavy as her love for her child
as all the love you have ever held.
and your tall, slim frame.
I want to be near your bruises and to make them not hurt.
I am always giving my heart to help people not hurt. But the world is a bruise,
and a gift,
as I was a gift to my family, to my world.
I hope.
For the record, we have loved hard.
On the floor,
Harder on the couch, harder and more ferocious on the bed,
clumsily in the shower,
Up against the wall.
my howl traveling up and down the alley,
causing the dogs to bark, making me shiver and be more afraid of myself than David, who has split me as easily as a ripe, dark avocado. Though sometimes when we make love,
It's like doing war with a lion.
my husband is tall and wide and huge, and when his want is urgent,
He growls.
and all I can do is pray.
But then I realize and accept.
I am lioness. I take it and fall asleep first
I feel his kiss faint
against my temple
before he closes the door.
and leaves me so full and well loved I dream of flying.
Why do you think yourself a match?
David says you are a fire. I say
A forest fire.
wild and indiscriminate. I mean, look what you've done to me.
Not in yesterday's letter, but in life.
I have not said
I love you.
to a man
other than my husband or family in years, but
Here I am.
I want you to be whole
and happy
and well.
and safe.
You're right. The kitchen table wouldn't hold us anyway. That's the thing about fantasy.
It ain't real.
I love
All your scrapes and tears.
your sparkle and dirt.
I love all you are and are becoming.
I'm so grateful.
That damn press didn't kill you.
One more.
Dear Tameka,
Before I listen to your next message,
before I do anything today,
other than talk and drink coffee,
this is the best email you've ever written me.
I almost cried.
At least once.
Also laughed.
This portrait of your married life,
Is a good
a
one.
very good one.
I'm laughing now. Please give David my regards. Thank him for defending this little punk.
And thank him in general.
I should have been more concerned about offending him. since I don't know him.
Your birth story
It's beautiful.
Mine
if you're curious,
is a joke
I was born enormous, over 10 pounds.
on a tiny frame.
The doctor said,
Oh, no, he's not deformed. It's just fat.
but I was born with eyes wide open,
Like Terrence's youngest,
totally silent,
looking.
but apparently not seeing. When I got glasses, I was already pretty far behind with the basics.
Alphabet and whatnot.
I got bifocals at 5 to transition and told my dad,
Enthusiastically.
looking at a telephone pole,
Did you know these things go all the way up?
armor is fine and good, Tameka.
Safety first. But if you're wearing armor, you're advertising a readiness for battle.
Don't let armor become a weakness.
I think a little pain is inevitable,
Valuable, which is why I feel comfortable saying things that may hurt my friends.
as long as it's not malicious.
There are people in my kitchen.
I can't focus much longer.
I have to go,
But
but
feel
feel
free.
free, really free, to say things that may hurt me.
And maybe start a little.
at a time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. Does that work? That was really awesome. And what's more awesome is this great remnants on the floor. It looks really beautiful from here. I wish that everyone had my vantage point. Everything is better up here. There were no hot dogs up here. That could be better, though. No, thank you.